All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today, taking a technical look at Bitcoin. Obviously, been in the news a little bit recently. It's had a really good day recently, although it doesn't look like it on the monthly chart. Up about 7 to 8% in one day recently. We'll kind of scale down and have a look at it now. So a few people are getting really excited, thinking that this might be the turnaround, thinking that the worst of it is behind us. Yeah. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but potentially digging into that in this video and saying, yeah, look, I'm not sure the worst is behind us. Going to be looking at it from a historical perspective because Bitcoin's notoriously volatile asset. So the only option you have really is to look at the history, how it's performed. Obviously, the savvy amongst you will see immediately that we've got this 4-year cycle. I know it's played to death. Everyone claims to know all about the 4-year cycle, but just looking at it purely from a technical and time frame perspective, there's a few trends that you can see that are fairly often repeated. Starting with this kind of slow consolidation. Obviously, way back in 16 and 17, it wasn't as major of an asset as it is now. So this consolidation is for a very extended period. We don't see that as much here in early 2020, and we also can see that reflected here in 2024. A little sideways movement before a big breakout. So we've got a big breakout in the center of the 4-year cycle, really in the just the end of the second year. So pretty much bang on in the middle of that 4-year cycle. Big spike up to a new all-time high, and then a very quick taper off all the way down, not to a new low, but to definitely a lower low in the long time frame of things. So then we get a little spike back up, back to a lower high than we had here, obviously, and then it kind of consolidates sideways until its next big breakout. So we can see that then follow into this second 4-year cycle. Consolidation sideways, huge breakup again, new all-time high created here. This one we've got a big dip down then before it went up to create a new high. So what's that? We've got a 55% pullback after a new all-time high, and then rip back up through that. Nice little breaker structure there, confirming a new uptrend, and then pulling back down massive amount, 77% back to the low. Not an all-time low because it's still higher than this previous low down here, and that is still higher than this previous one here. So still looking good from a purely technical long-term perspective, still a higher low compared to these two down here, obviously. But yeah, if you bought at the top, held at the bottom, you'd definitely be hurting at a 77% loss. And then we can see a bit of consolidation action here, a little bit of a bump up as is reflected here as well before that sideways action, which of course then turns into the start of our new 4-year cycle. Little bit lagged, I guess you could say, with this one. We've got more consolidation here from June 2019 until June 2020, pretty much before it took off, a whole year. Not as much time needed here for consolidation. February 2024, October 2024, so like half a year or whatever that works out to be. And then, as we all know, I'm sure everyone was on board by this stage. Big spike up, new all-time high, another pullback. We'll see how large that one was in comparison. Only a 32% pullback compared to a 55% down here. So not as many people selling. Good. Still didn't go past the previous all-time high we can see here. It looks like it just stopped above that, or at least that was the support level, probably helped by the resistance of the previous all-time high. So pushed back down and then pushed back up beautifully. So we'll mark that level for future. I want to get back into it in a little bit. And then we've of course gone up to a new all-time high, beautiful 60% run. To be expected. Lovely new all-time high, and then of course we've got this big downward trend now that we've started. So we're currently down about 46%, 45% from the all-time high, and we have gone down as far as 52%. So look, obviously 52% you're going to be hurting if you bought at the all-time high, but it's still a decent chunk off what it has gone down previously back here. So, if we go back to this one, we're talking 77% down before it turned around and started to come back up. Now, obviously the argument to that is, yeah, but back here they didn't have the institutional backing that we do now. We got Michael Saylor, we got Coinbase, we got BlackRock, all the big cool funds are buying it up. Yeah, absolutely true, and hopefully that does play a part. I'm not sure if we'll see it retract as far as 77%, because like that's really down here. So that's in the 30s nearly. So we'd have to see it drop pretty much double again from where it is now to get down to that 30K mark. However, to, silver lining and all that, that is still a higher low than the previous low after this situation happened. So even if it did pull back all the way down to 30, that is still a higher low when you're looking at the grand scheme of things from this low here. It would, however, have taken out that low there, which would not be a good sign. But just looking over the pure timeline, sorry, it does appear to be following that spike, dip, bigger spike, and then a big correction. And we've got spike, dip, bigger spike, and a big correction here. Some other key levels, excuse Malwarebytes, another key level that I wanted to quickly highlight as well is previous all-time highs, of course, and then we can even see that reflected down here with previous highs providing support. So we can see it smashed through this previous, an older all-time high, this point here at about 73K. So smashed through that with nothing. It did go down even past this kind of protection here of the original all-time high. You can scale down into the weekly to see kind of how far it went down. So yeah, look, we've had resistance here, a little bit of resistance there, and it pushed through, beautiful. Came back to hit it with support, excellent. Bounced back off it all the way up to a new time high, fantastic. But then the momentum that it's had coming down here, particularly this big break there, as it's just pushed straight through the middle, and it's trying to consolidate here around the 64, like near around the original all-time high, like all the way back here in 21. So it's trying to consolidate here. Look, it's looking okay. We do need to see it consolidate sideways and then a clear break up, I think, above this 73 mark. That may signal that we're out of this downtrend for now. But I did just want to show you something all the way back here as well. We can see that it did have a weak green here before going even further down, and that even came after a kind of false rally maybe, which in fact was just confirming a long-term downtrend, that section there. So we can see this section here heavily similar to this section here, down, up, and then back down, up, and then back down. And then it's even got a green candle right there, which hopefully is not mimicking this green candle right there, because then if we take from the bottom of that candle to the bottom, that's another 46%. And so, like I said, if my computer can load for a moment, there we are, back. If we take from this green candle, I can't remember if I took it from the bottom, but another 40%, I think it was, is probably down here, so the 37. So yeah, honestly, you can't not think that we might see 50s or 30s. I hope it doesn't happen. Obviously, I hold. My buy price is very high, don't worry. I'm in the 5 digits. I'm not in the 6 digits at the moment, but it's high 5 digits. So yeah, I'm definitely hurting a bit at the moment. And yeah, to be honest, expecting some more pain before it gets better, I think. And got to remember as well, coming off an all-time high, it's only been whatever that is, 140 days. So it's only been just over 3 months that it's been in a downtrend. So really not, in the grand scheme of things, we were in a downtrend here since the high until it kind of started to pick back up. Looking at 420 days, so nearly more than 3 times the time that we've already served, if that makes sense. 3 times as long as it's been going down for so far. So yes, interesting times. Just saying I'd expect a bit more pain before it starts to get better, and yet smash through that previous support, which we thought it could hit as it did in April 25. Taken out these 2 previous highs here, but it's looking to try and consolidate here. So yeah, as I said, sideways movement for a couple of weeks here, and then a confident push back up to the upside. You may be looking at a trend reversal, but purely as it stands at the moment, unfortunately, one day of a stellar return is not enough to change the weeks of bad news that we've had. So down, back up, and then down. it's not even back up. Look, those daily highs are still on a decreasing order. Higher low, which is a good sign, but yeah, I've got a feeling that over the next couple of weeks, it's probably going to trend lower. Hopefully, find support around 60,000. But ultimately, keep your eye on the chart, and of course, don't take anything said in this video as personal financial advice. I'm not licensed, of course, and you should do all your own research and ensure that your risk profile fits within whichever commodity you decide to put your funds in. So with that said, have a great rest of day, rest of evening, wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.